Welcome to the Nerdstalgic podcast with your host, the Ginger Bookworm. Nerdstalgic with the Ginger Bookworm. Nerdstalgic with the Ginger Bookworm.
Howdy beans, and welcome back to another exciting episode of the Nerdstalgic podcast. I'm your host, Luke the Human. Hope you're doing well. Hope you're good, as per usual. Make sure to follow me on Twitter at nerdstalgic_pod. And if you listen to this on YouTube, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and share and all that jazz. Today, this one's going to be a very quick one. As you can probably tell, I rushed straight into the business stuff, mainly because I'm pre-recording all these episodes. The format of these episodes are going to be very different from the summer showcase now with Jeff Keighley, the game showcase for Xbox and Bethesda, as well as the Ubisoft showcase. All these episodes, all the introductions for the episodes are going to be very quick, very sort of, out the gate as much as possible, mainly because I'm pre-recording all of these. I'm currently recording a lot of them on the 3rd of June, and this showcase that you listen to now, the Jeff Keighley one, doesn't come out until the 8th of June. So I have no idea what is to come. But to free up time and to free up recording so that I can get these episodes out as quick as possible, not just on Spotify but also on YouTube, I'm having to do these introductions, obviously pre-record them and do them very, very quickly. That's why I'm rushing things. Usually I like to take things a lot slower, but it's not just for that, but I also feel like Jeff Keighley and like Xbox and Bethesda, Ubisoft, they always have a lot to show, and I always end up talking. You beans know how long I can talk for. So I don't want to be waffling for ages for 20 minutes in introduction if we've got like 30 to even an hour of announcements to talk about and break down. So I want to make this as quick as possible. So what I want to do, as this is the Jeff Keighley Summer Showcase Game Fest, I want to talk about some of the announcements from last year and try to see what really goes into what we can kind of expect for this year. So Jeff Keighley, he always comes out with a bang. He always does such amazing things. He is basically what E3 used to be. He comes out with a bang. He shows you all the new games and announcements. Leaves you wanting more, leaves you excited. And really just kind of me personally, blows me away of some of the things he manages to get. And this is why I love watching Jeff Keighley's show for the Summer Showcase, as well as his Game Awards at the end of the year. He's doing things in this industry to highlight new games and indie games as well as AAA games that is just revolutionary. And I really, really enjoy what this guy has to show and talk about. But last year was no exception. For the 2022 showcase, you had the likes of The Last of Us remake officially revealed for PC. Last of Us, the multiplayer game, was also announced by Naughty Dog. Now we've recently heard that game is currently really, really slogging in trouble. I don't know if it's being cancelled or not, but I heard that the multiplayer version of Last of Us is really, really having a hard time. Street Fighter 6, which I think is either released now as a recording or releasing soon. So we had the announcement of that. Aliens Dark Descent, which comes out this year. The first look at the HBO series of Last of Us 2. The Callisto Protocol, the gameplay sort of revealed before the game came out in December, which I played and reviewed. If you want to go check that out, you can. It's on the channel. Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2 gameplay. You had Layers of Fear. There was the release of Midnight Sun, the announcement. Gotham Knights Nightwing gameplay. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Shredder's Revenge, stuff to do with Saints Row, Cuphead, The Delicious Last Course, and just many, many more. There's a lot of variety. You also had Witchfire, after being announced at the Game Awards back in 2017. I think that game comes out this year. You have, what else they have? Ex-Blizzard devs announced Stormgate, a new post-apocalyptic RTS. Goat Simulator 3 was announced. Warhammer 40k Dark Tide, which I'm still waiting for that to come out on the Xbox. So yeah, a lot was announced, and that's just sort of the tip of it, really. There's tons and tons more, like indie developers as well as AAA that he spoke about at this show. So my predictions for this show, again, I haven't watched it. I'm pre-recording this, so I'm not aware. But my predictions is that we're going to see a lot. There's going to be a lot of surprises. I wouldn't imagine It'll be anything Xbox Game Studios. I wouldn't imagine anything to do with Fable. I wouldn't imagine anything to do with Gears of War or like Psychonauts DLC or even a Psychonauts sequel, anything like that. I wouldn't imagine it to be anything Xbox related. Possibly, you might see stuff from Square Enix, Capcom, Konami. Maybe maybe there might be some Metal Gear Solid, Snake Eater gameplay reveals, stuff like that. To be honest, I don't know. I don't really have any predictions. I just feel like I'm going to be blown away by the showcase because Jeff Keighley always does. Because he has a good variety. You know that you're going to get AAA, and you know he's going to highlight the indie developers as well. So you're going to get a good sort of mix of the two. I just hope for whatever he shows, it's amazing, but I have no doubt it will be. So I don't really have any predictions for this showcase. I just know that it's going to be incredible, and I can't wait to watch it on the 8th. Obviously, you beans are very, very lucky. You'll be listening to this after the showcase, so you've either already seen what has been announced because you watched it live like I did, or you've heard some of the announcements. So lucky you. But through the power of time travel and the power of pre-recording and podcasting, I am able to see into the future in a couple of minutes and tell you all about what is to come. So without further ado, let's get into seeing what Jeff Keighley has for us this year at his Summer Games Fest. Right, let's get into it, shall we? Right, so the Summer Game Fest has just finished. Wow, what a showcase! This is why, like, I know E3 is not on anymore. Sadly, it got cancelled this year, but this is why the Game Fest is my new E3, and this is why June is basically Christmas for me and other gamers because we get everything that we want. We get new announcements in terms of gameplay, in terms of brand new games, old games coming back to form, brand new games coming in. It's just a way for all gamers to come together and just to celebrate and gush over something that we love so passionately. And this showcase was no different. So I'm not going to waste any time. I'm going to get straight into it. I've written down all of the games that were shown, quite a few of them, on my computer, and I'm going to list off them. I'm going to give my sort of thoughts and feelings on all. Some I won't have any major things to talk about. Some things I will. It depends on the game and the topic. But without further ado, let's get into it, shall we? So. The first thing that was shown was Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown. We got to see new gameplay as well as it being announced. I thought at first it was going to be sort of because Ubisoft announced that they were doing the Prince of Persia reboot, and I was really looking forward to that. And I believe that game was sort of delayed last year to start of this year, and then I think it was January this year they were like, no, this game is not ready at all, which I think that's been pushed back even further. So we saw new gameplay. It's a brand new sort of game. We won't find out more until the Ubisoft Forward event, so I'm really looking forward to that. But I am a hardcore Prince of Persia fan. I love all the old games for the 360. I played Prince of Persia, Sands of Time, the sort of reboot one they tried to tie in with the movie on the 360, as well as the reboot Prince of Persia game, which was very odd. That game, literally, you could play it on any difficulty, you couldn't die. Like it was a fun game. But I've been waiting for a new Prince of Persia game for a long, long time. Believe it or not, even though Prince of Persia is part of sort of the Assassin's Creed sort of world in terms of the original Prince of Persia sort of idea for a new game turned into sort of an Assassin's Creed, and that's gone on and been more successful. I'm glad we're now going back to the Prince, that we're now going back to the Prince of Persia sort of series with a brand new game. Is it the same guy? Is it, the Prince, or is it been redone, or is it a new person? We won't know until Ubisoft on Sunday. But I'm excited. I'm really, really, really excited for that. So can't wait for the Ubisoft Forward event to see more of that. Next, they showed Mortal Kombat 1 combat gameplay. I'll be honest, I'm not really big into fighting games, mainly because I'm not very good at them. I'm a button masher. I'll admit it. I'm a button masher. That's why if I ever play a fighting game, I play on my own. I don't play with other people because I will button mash. And even when I play on my own, I button mash. But I will be honest, every time that there's a new Mortal Kombat game that comes out, I might not be there day one, but I usually get it eventually once it's come down in price, and I will play it on my own and I'll play through it and enjoy it. I love Injustice 1 and 2. I played the most recent Mortal Kombat, I think from all the way from Mortal Kombat 9 to the latest Mortal Kombat game. I'm not really sure what the latest one is. I think it's 11 or 12. I'm not sure. But, I'm a bit of a newbie when it comes to Mortal Kombat games because, again, I'm not hardcore. I only play them just for fun and when they're on the cheap. So, I don't know much about them. So if I'm wrong, I do apologize if I offend anybody. But Mortal Kombat 1 looks interesting, looks fantastic, looks gory, looks brutal. Again, I might not be there for day one to pick it up, but again, later on when it comes down in price or comes onto Game Pass, or like the other two came onto Game Pass, I might look into it and give it a go. But it looks gory, and that's what you want. And from friends of mine who are Mortal Kombat fans, it looks like you're getting everything that you want. You're getting all the characters that you enjoy, all the all reliables, all the old faithful characters, as well as all of the fatalities and all that. So you're getting everything that you want. I know I'm probably butchering a lot of it, and I do apologize because, again, I'm not a big fan, but I'm excited to see what comes more from that. And I just look, I like watching, going onto YouTube and watching compilations of people doing fatalities and people who know how to play the game expertly without button mashing, how they play against each other. I love watching those videos on YouTube, so I look forward to them. And I'll play it when it gets cheaper. The next game they showed was Path of Exile 2. They showed gameplay for that, only a short bit of gameplay. I've never played it, Path of Exile 1. I know it's a free game to play on the Xbox, but I've never looked into it. But recently I played through Dungeon Siege 3. I love Dungeon Siege. I won't get into it, but I'm a big fan of the Dungeon Siege franchise. I would love a Dungeon Siege 4 or even a Dungeon Siege reboot by Obsidian or somebody, because Obsidian made the last one. And this Path of Exile 2 looks like a Dungeon Siege, Diablo sort of game. So I'm looking forward to it. More gameplay. Is it going to be free to play? We don't really know yet. They just showed a small bit of gameplay and that was it. So I look forward to seeing whatever that will be. Then we had sort of Street Fighter 6 cross promo with the new game Exo Primal that comes out next month. Again, it didn't really show much because, again, we don't really know much about Exo Primal apart from it being soldiers that are fighting dinosaurs. But I'm sure Exo Primal will be shown more at the Xbox showcase on Sunday. So we'll probably find more about that there, and then we can come back and sort of how the cross promo will be. But from the looks of it, you might get some characters from the new Street Fighter coming into that game and have like a cross promotion sort of thing. I'm not really sure how it will work. Again, I'm not a fighter game lover, and we don't know a lot about Exo Primal, so how it would work, I don't know. But I'm excited. I mean, like, that's the thing. Like, even about these games, I don't know a lot about. I'm excited. That's the point of these showcases: is to get you hyped, is to get you pumped, it's to get you in the mood for video games. No matter if you're a fan of them or not, it's to get you in the mood, basically. And that's what it's done. I'm hyped. I'm excited. It's currently 9:57 here in the UK as I'm recording this. I've been up all day, been keeping myself busy, keeping myself distracted, so I might be a bit tired, a little wired. So if I do make mistakes, I do apologise, but I'm just really, really excited. And when I get excited, I do tend to stutter, so I do apologise. So the next game that they showed was Dead by Daylight, which was the Nick Cage collab, as well as showing you some gameplay of that. As you all know, I'm a big fan of Nick Cage. I recently watched Renfield and I just gushed. There was a new trailer out recently for a new film that Nicolas Cage is doing. Literally, at the moment we're in the Nick Renaissance. That's my term. I'm coining that term, the Nick Renaissance. He's having his own renaissance. He's coming back. Not that he ever went anywhere. And I'm so very excited. And again, I've never played Dead by Daylight. I know I have a lot of friends that have, and it looks interesting, looks fun. He's doing the voice work of the character. He has his own voice lines, and it's just more Nick Cage. And I just love to see more of Nick Cage, in video games. And even Jeff Keighley actually had Nick Cage on stage, and had all these Nick Cage isms, and I just loved it. I was like a Cheshire cat all the way through. I was just smiling, like, he's the man. I love him. He's so fantastic. I'm just I'm gushing now, and it's over. But it's Nick Cage. God damn it, I'm a big fan. Anyway, moving on because I don't want to gush any more about Nick Cage. Then we had Witcher Season 3 trailer. I've only seen a bit of Witcher Season 1. I have been meaning to finish it off and then go to Season 2 to prepare for Season 3, and had planned to do that. The only real proper downside of that was the fact of, I'm a huge Henry Cavill fan. He's a nerd just like me, just like you guys. And that when it was coming out that basically Henry Cavill wasn't coming back for season 4, and it was going to be Liam Hemsworth, which again, nothing wrong with Liam Hemsworth, but he's no Henry Cavill. Um, I basically went, well, in my mind was like, what is there any point? So I might come back to it. Depends if the reviews come out for season 3, because it looked from the trailer that we saw, it looked interesting. If reviews come out and they end it well, and it's like a good sort of swan song, a good send off for his version of sort of The Witcher, shall we say? Um, then I will happily sit, and I'll finish off season 1, I'll watch season 2, and I'll watch season 3, But depends how good season 3 is. I might come back to it, might not. But I love Henry Cavill. I can't really moan much about it really. It's like it looked interesting. So again, it all depends how good the season is, if I come back and finish it or not. Then we got sort of the Witchfire gameplay. We saw this was announced last year at the last Games Fest, and there was a bit. I think they actually showed a little bit of gameplay there. We got a little bit more gameplay here. It looks interesting. It looks kind of like Witcher with guns, very first, but it's more first person sort of thing. I'm interested to see what this game is. Like I said, we only got a little bit last year. We only got a little bit this year. I think this is the year it comes out. So hopefully we get a little bit more story, a little bit more sort of reason behind what we're doing. Because again, it looks fantastic in terms of gameplay, but I want a bit of story. Why am I a witch hunter? Why am I going after monsters and witches and that sort of thing? Like, what is my purpose? That's so I want to know me personally more about the story. So that's what I'm interested in. Then we had Crossfire Sierra Squad. Yeah, Crossfire. Yeah, I don't have a lot to say about this because this is for PlayStation VR. I don't have a PlayStation, and obviously I don't have PlayStation VR. My brother does. So if he gets it, I might ask him what he thinks of it, and then I'll report back. But I can't guarantee anything there, because he's very specific about the games he plays on his VR. So we will see. But Crossfire, I know when that came out on the Xbox, it didn't do very well. The multiplayer was terrible. The sort of campaign was terrible. I never played it because I just heard everybody saying it was terrible, and it was like, just don't. Even if it's free on Game Pass, just don't. So I never did. So whenever I hear now the name Crossfire, it's like that tainted smell. It just feels like whenever I hear it, I'm like, ooh. Even though I have no reason to go ooh because I never played it, I just have that ooh. So when it came up, I was like, ooh, really? But it's a VR game, and we need more VR games. And again, I did study virtuality in university, so I have kind of got some sort of a way, and shall we say, I've got some cards in the deck. So I've got to support it a little bit because I did study virtuality at university. Then we got some sort of gameplay for Remnant 2. I played a bit of Remnant 1 when it was free on Game Pass a year or two ago. It's fun, it's interesting, but again, it is sort of, it's not really my cup of tea. I played it for a bit, but it's not really my thing. It's more of a game to play with friends, and I'll be honest, I play on my own for a lot of the games that I play. So for me, it got a bit boring. I didn't stay with it for long, and I feel like that it might be the same that for Remnant 2, to be honest. So I'm not judging it. It's just the fact of it's not really for me. You know what I mean? Um, the next game that they showed, which was a real surprise, and I know Chat Tsunami is going to be really excited about this one. Actually, I think he is because I'm sure that my notifications on my phone went off when the game was announced, and I think he said something on the fact of where did this come from? So excited. So I think Chat Tsunami's already seen it. He's probably really excited about it. But it was Sonic Superstars, so they announced it and showed some new gameplay. It looks like it's a mix of taking sort of the old-fashioned sort of 2D scroller that Sonic originated from, and that's what it's known for, and bringing it into the modern day. And it kind of reminded me, if anybody ever played it for the 360, which was Sonic Generations. Basically, that game it allowed you to play modern Sonic, and then it allowed you to play classic Sonic. So you'd play the same levels, but you'd play either in 2D or 3D. A fantastic game. It's probably one of the only Sonic games I've played from start to finish, next to Sonic Heroes. I never probably finished that one, but again, it's the only one I ever played from start to finish because I loved it so much. So I might pick this one up. I'm not a huge Sonic fan, I'll be honest with you. But this one might be one I might pick up because it looks interesting. It looks like Sonic Generations. I loved Sonic Generations, so I'd be happy to maybe go back with a modern spin on it and modern sort of lick of paint and give it a go. The next one they showed was Liza P. This one was shown last year. It's, if I remember correctly, I think it's meant to be sort of a Souls-like sort of game on the remnants of Pinocchio and that sort of world. And wow, you guys know how much I love Pinocchio. So I'm already there for it, and we got to see a bit more gameplay. Also, they announced that the demo is now available to download. So I'm currently downloading it. It's got about, if I'm looking at my computer, it's got 7 minutes left until the demo's done. What I'm thinking of doing, mainly because I'm not a Souls-like sort of player, I'm not a Souls-like fan, what I would do as a fun little thing while we wait for the Xbox Game Show, which is on the Sunday, I will play Liza P and I'll give my first impressions and I'll release that. Maybe, hopefully, if I play it tomorrow on Friday, I'll get that episode out for Saturday and then sort of gives us to tide you guys over till then. My first impressions. But Liza P looks fantastic, looks interesting, and I look forward to playing the demo and then giving you beans my impression of the game. God, I have to have a drink of water. There's so much to talk about. I gotta take a. Gotta hydrate. Gotta hydrate. As Bobby Boucher would say, it's high quality H2O. Anyway, moving on. Then we got a gameplay of a game called Sandland by the creator of Dragon Ball Z. I thought it was Dragon Ball. I'm not a big Dragon Ball fan, if I'm being honest. I'm not a Naruto fan. But the game looked good, looked interesting, and there's not much to say. Like, you're in like a futuristic post-apocalyptic world, maybe. They didn't say a lot. It was mostly just a gameplay, but you're in the future-ish, and you're in tanks, you're in the desert, and it's like in a sort of comic book sort of style that's in the very much the vein of sort of Dragon Ball Z, that sort of thing. It looks interesting. Again, it might not be one I pick up on day one, but if people and reviews say it's pretty good, I might look into it. The next game was Throne and Liberty. Not really much to say about this one. Yeah, not really much to say about it really. They showed gameplay for it. Then we had Warhate. Like, I might not have something to say about all these games because remember, there's a lot of games that were shown, and I'm quite tired. So if I don't say a lot about it, mainly because either I wasn't paying attention or I just zoned out. But I got it down just in case. So Throne of Liberty showed new gameplay of that. Then we had a new game called Warhaven, which looked to me the lines of, remember the game by Ubisoft, For Honor? I think it's still around. I think people still play it now. But the game For Honor, it was the idea that you had knights that were against each other, and you had a few knights on each team, and then you would have sort of different ways to fight each other. Imagine that, but chivalry. If you ever played the game Chivalry, where you had tons of knights, like tons of enemies and knights against each other. Imagine that, but every single knight, instead of it being just sort of an NPC, it being an actual player, and you are literally going it's like a total war, just going to war with each other. That's what it seemed like to me in the gameplay. I might have been wrong. I might have misread what I saw, but that's what it looked like, and that looks interesting. So I'm interested to see what that game should be. I'm interested to see what all these games are going to be, to be honest. That's, again, the beauty of it all. Then there was Party Animals, which I'm sure was announced last year. We saw a bit of gameplay for that. To be honest, it looks like what's that game now? Where you basically you play as little squidgy things, and you have to beat your friends up, and you've got to. It's not Human Fall Flat. Is it Human Fall Flat? Or Fall? No, not Fall Guys. Basically, you squidgy little bent jelly things, and you pick each other up, and you try to throw your friends off like platforms and that sort of thing, and whoever is the last one standing wins. That sort of thing, but with animals. It looks interesting. It looks like a great party game, and that's one thing that we're missing is party games. I remember Fusion Frenzy on the original Xbox. That was a good party game. I miss playing party games. You don't get many party games nowadays. So Party Animals looks like a fun little party game to play with friends. I just need friends to play it with now. So if you listen to this and you want to play, let me know. Dying Light 2, there's a new update out for that. I still haven't played Dying Light 2. I know, it's shocking. I have a huge backlog of games that I want to play. And Dying Light 2, for some unknown reason, and again, I understand because it's still very successful. People are still buying it. And if people are still buying it, it's still going to stay up in price. But that game, since release, has not come down in price, and at times has risen in price. The only place I've ever seen it go for cheap is on the Xbox when it's on sale. But even then, it's like 29 quid. And it's going to be the same thing for Dying Light 1. Like I got into Dying Light 1 like a couple of years later when it was on its last legs, when it was dying, and like the announcement of Dying Light 2 was like already out, like it was coming out soon. That's when I got into Dying Light. So I probably won't get into Dying Light 2 anytime soon, but I want to because the new update sounds fascinating. They've updated the gore system, so it's more fleshy, more gory, more sort of on the level of Dead Island 2, which again I haven't played Dead Island 2 either. I really need to get into that. I do apologise, I just burped. I do apologise. So I'm looking forward to it. Interesting. I'll most likely save a lot of the zombie games for sort of Halloween time, and then we'll play a lot of the zombie games together, and that'll be fun. But that looks interesting. New updates, so that's good. Then we had Crash Team Rumble, new gameplay there, and I think they announced Cortex. The crocod. I'm not. See, I'm going to butcher the name, and I do apologize. I'm not a Crash Bandicoot sort of player. I was more into Spyro growing up, but I think his name's Crocodile. Anyway, he's going to be in it, or Dingo Dial. I think that's his name. He's going to be a new playable character, and I think there was another. Is it Entron? Um, what's the name? Doctor Cortex's henchman, and is it Entron? Or something like that. He's going to be a playable character as well. If you heard that noise, that was my Xbox just telling me that Life of P demo's just finished downloading. So I'll play that tomorrow. That'll be a fun thing to cover on the channel. But yeah, new gameplay for Crash Team Rumble, so that should be an interesting one to play when it comes out. Again, it's not going to be one that I'll jump in on day one, if I'm being honest. But it looks interesting. Yeah, maybe if I can get some people together, and if sort of the Activision Blizzard deal goes through, more than likely it'll come out on Game Pass. So if I can get some people together, maybe Dan from Casting Views, maybe get Chat Tsunami in, then we play together, and it'll be, we'll test it out and have a fun little sort of jig. So we'll see. Then they showed Alan Wake 2, so you got a bit more gameplay from there, brand new gameplay, as well as a bit more sort of story, and a bit more sort of how the story is going to work, and the gameplay and the characters that you play as. They announced a new game called Saga. I think her name's I think they pronounce it Saga, but her character is that you have basically in this game. In the first game, because I'm a huge Alan Wake fan, I played Alan Wake, I played Control, and I played the Alan Wake DLC expansion for it. I love Alan Wake. I even played American Horror Story. I'm a big fan of Alan Wake, and I've been waiting for years for this game. Okay, so I am just elated. I'm just full of joy about this, right? But what I love about what they said was that Sam Lake, the creator of Alan Wake and the creator of Max Payne, and just an all-right legend, really, came out, and how he explained it was that you get to play not just as Alan, but you get to play as this new character, Sega. And basically, the idea is you can go for the whole game and just playing as Alan if you want to, but you could also play the whole game as Saga if you wanted to, and you could have a 50-50, so you could play like a little bit of Alan, then you can play a little bit of this new character, and you can drop in, drop out whenever you wanted, because they're all on their different paths. So Alan's stuck in sort of the dark place, he's trying to escape, and you have sort of this new characters in Bright Falls. She's trying to solve the mystery of not just what happened to Alan Wake, why he disappeared and how he disappeared, but also there is a new cult that is like a cult that's killing people and doing murders, and sort of maybe they're worshipping Alan, maybe they're worshipping the darkness that's got Alan sort of trapped. We don't know yet, but she's an FBI agent trying to solve that mystery. So you have that choice of who you want to play as and what narrative you want to go as. I thought at first it was going to be very much in the line of Resident Evil 2 remake, where you could play you could play one playthrough as, say, like Leon Kennedy, and then you could play sort of the second playthrough as Claire Redfield. That's what I thought they were going to say, but it turns out it's going to be more the fact of drop in, drop out. So you basically choose. It's up to you how you play the game. So that's interesting. Let's take it in a different sort of way. Like me personally, I would want to play more so as Alan, because I am sort of connected to his character and to his story. But at the same stage, I'm interested to see what they do with this new character, and how because their stories intertwine, but they're on different paths. I don't know, like, would I want to do a purely Alan run and then a purely new character run, or would I want to do a run with both of them in tandem? I love that freedom. I love that choice to choose. That's got me excited. So that's going to be really, really fun to look into. Then next we had more gameplay of Space Marines 2. This really blew me away because, again, like Alan Wake, I played Space Marines 1 back on the 360. That's the game that got me into Warhammer 40k. Now, I'm not going to sit here and say I'm a hardcore fan. I'm not going to lie to you, Beans. I'm not. I want to be, but there is just so much to the 40k universe that I just haven't had the time to properly sit down and embrace it all. I have sat on YouTube and I've watched an hour to 2 hour long documentary sort of videos just breaking down the Empire and who the Emperor is, and sort of the Darkness and the Necrons, and the different sort of battalions in sort of Marines. And the different ranks and all that jazz. Like, I've looked into the Inquisitors, I've looked into it all, but I'll be honest, there's so much I just never really sat and got into it, and I don't really have the money or space to get into the model making and playing the board game, sadly. I would love to, just at this moment in time, I'm just not able to, but I am interested, and Space Marines was a fantastic game. I've played and completed that game multiple times. I loved it. To hear that we're getting a Space Marines 2 next gen, love it even more. And they announced that there's going to be a free player co-op campaign, so you can go through the campaign in free player co-op with 2 extra Space Marines with your friends. That's incredible. I'll be honest with you, I will happily ask the lads if they want to play, but I will admit, and if you lads, if you're listening, I'll have to play the game first on my own to get that full experience. But once I've played it through the first time, I'll happily play through as a group with you guys as well. And I'm sure it'd be the same for them lot as well. If they want, they'll most likely want to be like, well, I'm going to play on my own first, and then we'll play as a group. But that's part of the Space Marines sort of thing. You never surrender. You always push ahead. You are a walking tank. There's no such thing as sort of going in alone. Like, you can go in alone, but you go in together as a squad, as a legion. And that idea of a free player co-op just blows my mind. My mind was just wow. Like, I was like, that's what I'm talking about. That's what you want to see. The next game was Yes Your Grace Snowfall. They showed a bit of gameplay for that. Again, it looks interesting, but I haven't got a lot to say about it. Baldur's Gate 3. They announced the sort of release date for that is August this year. I haven't played Baldur's Gate 1 and 2, but I've been told Baldur's Gate is a fantastic RPG series. So maybe I'll have to go back and play Baldur's Gate 1 and 2 first. But Baldur's Gate 3, I know that game's been in development for years. I've seen a little bit of gameplay here and there, but the game might have changed by now. It all depends. But they also announced that Jason Isaacs is going to be voicing a new character in it. So that should be interesting. I love Jason Isaacs. He's fantastic. He's a fantastic actor as well as a fantastic voice actor. So again, it'll be interesting to see what character he's playing, and where the story goes with that, and the whole RPG side of it. And yeah, I've just heard really good things about Baldur's Gate, so I'm looking forward to playing that one. Then they showed Spider-Man 2. They gave a release date for it, which is going. So you can play Spider-Man 2 on your PlayStation 5 on October the 20th this year, 2023. I haven't played Spider-Man 1 because I don't have a PlayStation. So there was no way I could play it on the PS4. My brother has it, but I can't bother. I love Spider-Man, don't get me wrong, but I would much rather sit and watch somebody else play through it, watch a long playthrough on YouTube, than play through it myself. It's not they don't interest me. There is, to be honest, there's a whole story behind me and Spider-Man, the video game, which involves me and my mate at a gaming convention. I won't tell that story now because it's a bit of a long story. Maybe one day I will sit and have that conversation if you beans are interested. But it really gave me a sour note on the Spider-Man game and just put me off it. And again, that's not the game's fault. That's generally down to a developer and a exhibitioner. But again, it's a long story, and maybe one day I'll get into it. But I haven't played the first game, but bringing the idea of having Spider-Man 2, bringing in Kraven Hunter, who is one of my favourite, most underrated villains of all of Spider-Man's roster. I don't know. I know they're doing a Kraven Hunter movie, but I don't understand why it's taken this long to do it. I really, really don't. So I'm glad that we're now getting a Craven Hunter movie, which I fingers crossed it's good. I really, really hope it is. Um, but I'm glad that we're finally getting like Craven Hunter in the forefront. You know, he's there. He's now sort of one of the big bads, and we get Venom as well. And the sort of the head developer even announced that there are going to be other enemies and other villains that appear in the game. So that should be a fun one as well. So again, I probably won't end up playing Spider-Man 2, but I'll happily watch sort of a lot when the game comes out, a long sort of walkthrough of it as well. So I'm interested. Again, I am a Spider-Man fan. I'm a Marvel fan, so it should be a fun one. Then they had Power World gameplay, which to me just looked like Pokemon with guns. Now maybe it is in the same world of Pokemon because again I haven't played Pokemon in a very long time, any of the games. So I don't know. Maybe Pokemon has evolved to have guns in it now. I don't know. I really don't. But that's what it looked like. It looked like Pokemon with guns and rockets and farming, and it looked awesome. But that's all I have to say, really. There was gameplay for Black Desert. Again, I don't really have much to say about it because I've never played Black Desert. Um, then they showed Lord of the Rings Return to Moria, which looks awesome because, again, I'm a Lord of the Rings fan. I've read all the books. I'm a huge Tolkien fan. I've read all the Middle Earth books that have been released. Um, so to get one of my favorite parts in the Lord of the Rings movies and in the first book is Moria. I love Moria. I'm fascinated with the minds of Moria and the lore behind Moria. I'm just, it's my favorite part of the Lord of the Rings book and the movies. Um, so the idea of being able to go back to Moria and you're back. I don't know if you play as Gimli, but Gimli's in it, and the voice actor from the movie who plays Gimli, he's doing the voice work for Gimli, or it sounds like him anyway. Um, and you're playing as other dwarves, and I'm guessing it's going to be co-op games. So you're going to have your mates go back to Moria. You're going to build defenses, and you're going to take back Moria. Yes, please. I was like, fucking yes. That's what I want. And especially how I haven't played Gollum yet, but how much of a wreck Gollum was when that came out. Um, we are in need of a good Lord of the Rings game really badly. So to get it finally is sweet elation. It's just yes, and it's Gimli and it's Moria, and I'm like, mwah, chef's kiss. You know what you do. This is what we want. We don't want a Gollum story. We want Gimli. Okay, we want Legolas. We want Aragorn. You know what I mean? Give us their standalone story game thingamabobs. Just do anything but Gollum. Like, I love Gollum, but no, or if you're going to do Gollum, you should have done it better, but you didn't. So you fucked it. It's your own fault. Anyway, I'm not going to get into that rant. Then they showed Final Fantasy VII Ever Crisis, which was gameplay for mobile phone. Again, I don't play games on my phone, so I'm not really interested. And again, I'm not really big into Final Fantasy either, so again, it's not really one for me to really comment on because again I don't really know anything. Then you had Banisher's Ghost of New Eden. This gameplay was announced last year, and finally we get to see a bit of gameplay this year. Again, it looks like The Witcher, so I'll be interested to see what kind of game this actually comes out to be. I'm looking forward to it. Again, not much to say. It looks interesting. It looks good. It looks like The Witcher, and I love The Witcher, so again I'm all here for it. There was another game that they announced, which was Under the Waves. They showed gameplay for that. That looks like a very sort of Subnautica, but more story driven. So it didn't look like you were creating like a base or anything like that, like Subnautica. It just looked like you was underwater in like a swimsuit, and that there's some sort of supernatural sort of mystery going on. So it's very creepy, very sort of spooky again underwater. And if anybody has, I can't remember what it's called, but that phobia for deep water and sea monsters and stuff like that, it's very much that phobia, whatever it is. If you know it, fill in the gap for me. So it looked, again, I'm going to say that word, it looked interesting. All the games looked interesting. Some blew me away more than others, but either way, looks very, very interesting. I'm excited to see whatever that game is. The Call of Duty Warzone Season 4 update, as well as new maps. Again, I'm not really big into Call of Duty. I'm really not into battle. Really, really not into battle royales. I hate battle royales. I've never been into battle royales, and I never will be. So this didn't fascinate me. But again, if you are a Call of Duty fan, Season 4 updates out soon, as well as it brings new maps. So hopefully that's enough. Then we had a game called Fate Farms, which it just looked like it looked like The Sims, but with farming. If you ever played these, I think it was on the Wii. It was the Sims Mini or My Sims or something like that. I think my mum had a few of them. Um, but it was like The Sims, but like you was the town builder. So you'd like World of Keflins, Kingdom of Keflins. You'd build a little town and you'd get new missions, and then you would sort of expand the town, or you'd build a town. Then once you've got that succeeded, you'd go to another one and start again with new missions and that sort of thing. That's what it looked like to me. It looked like My Sims, but like for the modern age. That's just what it looked like. Again, I'm not that interested, but somebody might be out there. Then there was this is how tired I am. Instead of writing Snap, I put SNPA. No, there is a new Marvel Snap update. Again, I love Marvel, but I don't play games on my phone. I'm not interested. And Marvel Snap, the guy you've probably seen the guy who does the advertisements on YouTube. Whenever there's a video game, it's always like, I'm so excited to show you what we've been making now. He was on stage and he was being like the guy looked like he was on crack or some sort of drug. This guy was off his rocker, and you could tell Jeff Keighley was looking at him like, all right, mate, calm down. Relax, all right, chill. But Jeff Keighley's a professional, so he handled it quite well. But you can see in his face of like, oh, God, this guy's off his head. But yeah, I'm just not interested in Marvel Snap. As I'm sure there's people out there who are. Like I've heard, it's a pretty good card game, and like there's no real big microtransactions or anything like that. It's all things can be done inside the game. So I probably won't give it a go if I'm being honest. But there's a new update, so if you're interested, there'll be a new update for that coming out soon. Then we had a gameplay for a game called Wayfinder. Again, not really much to say about it. It looked interesting. That's a bit much I can say. Then we got some Metal Gear TV show footage, and they showed off the new character Sweet Tooth. Again, I never really played Twisted Metal. It was on the PlayStation 1, and I think they had it on the PlayStation 2. And my sister had a PlayStation 1, but by the time that I was old enough to play, I think I had I had a GameCube, and then my sister got after I think she had a but yeah, my sister had a PlayStation 1, then a Dreamcast. She stopped playing PS1. We got rid of the PS1. Then from the Dreamcast, she went to PS2. So, and I went from GameCube to PS2. So I never played Twisted Metal. But I think my cousin had it, or my uncle. Anyway, the point I'm trying to make is I never played Twisted Metal. I knew of it, never played it. So I might watch a TV show. I like Anthony Mackie. He's going to be the next Captain America. So, I'll watch it if it's any good. I'll wait for reviews to come out for it. I'll wait until Angry Joe does his review, and I'll see if it's any good, worth watching. But it looked funny, and that's what you want from Twisted Metal. From what I've been told, Twisted Metal's meant to be crazy, fun, and silly, so that's what it looked like, and that looks like what we're getting. So, oh. Then we had Immortals of. I don't know. This is a non-dyslexia title. So please do bear with me. It's Immortals of Avum, 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 Aveum. I'm just going to say Avum. I don't know. Basically, new game. It was gameplay. They showed it off at I think they showed it off last year, and they showed a bit of gameplay at the PlayStation Showcase last month. I'm not really thrown by it, and it doesn't look like anything new. It feels like Forspoken, that game that came out recently that everybody was really sort of hating on. But it also feels like Ghosts of not Ghost of Tsushima, the Ghost of that new one that came out by Bethesda. It's on Game Pass, and you do spells, and you're inside Japan. Tokyo? No, I don't know. It doesn't look. It doesn't look original. It doesn't look like it blows me away. It looks like I've seen it before. Like I'm not blown away by it. It looks. I don't know, but whatever it looks about it, it just doesn't pull me in. So it's not one that I'll probably end up getting. Again, it'll be down to reviews, and if people say it's better than it looks, then again I might do. But again, I'm not going to sit here and lie to you, Beans, and say yes, it's a game I'm going to play day one, because no, most likely not. Then second to last, we got a Fortnite Wilds update. So as we know, again, I don't play Fortnite. Again, like I said, I'm not a Battle Royale fan, but my brother does play Fortnite, so he'll be really excited about this. So Fortnite Wilds update is coming out I think tomorrow or soon. As of this, it showed off that we've now got the Transformers in Fortnite. Don't get me wrong, I love the Transformers. I really do. I grew up with the Transformers. I watched the reruns of the original TV show. I had a copy of the movie on video. And I remember when the films came out, the Michael Bay movies, and I just love Transformers, and I love the Transformers games as well. And what angst me is the fact that I've been waiting for years for an either reboot or sequel of Transformers War for Cybertron and Fall for Cybertron. Those were the two best Transformers games I've ever played in my life. I was waiting for sequels. Um, Still, as of yet, we haven't, and we probably won't, because High Moon Studios now makes, it's now been regulated to basically making sort of making and supporting the Call of Duty franchise. That's what Activision has done with it. So I hope this Activision Blizzard bloody debate thing goes through, so that we can actually get more Transformers games either by High Moon or somebody else, because I think Activision still has a license to it, maybe, unless it's been moved from Hasbro's taken it off them. I don't know, but the point is we just need more Transformers games, and it angst me to see that Transformers is going to be in Fortnite because I want it elsewhere. I don't play Fortnite, and I'm not going to play Fortnite just for the Transformers, but like I just want some Transformers games. I feel like Angry Joe. Angry Joe was like he wants a Superman game, but he can't get it. But for somehow he has to play Fortnite to play as Kal-El, to play as Superman. It's like it's so unfair. It's like I don't want to have to play something I don't like just to play what I want. You know, it's not right. And that's how I feel. It's like I'm not excited for it. I'm just peed off the fact of, I want Transformers. I want to play Transformers, but to play Transformers I have to play Fortnite, and that just doesn't seem fair to me at all. And then finally, the last game they showed before the end of the show was Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. That comes out next year, 2024. I think this is a sequel or part two to the Final Fantasy VII remake that came out a couple of years ago. Again, I'm not a really big Final Fantasy sort of player. All I know is that this game isn't coming to the Xbox. This game is a PlayStation exclusive. But I think we are getting Final Fantasy VII Crisis Core, I think, which is like a side story. I think that's what Xbox and everybody else is getting, but like only this game's only coming out on PlayStation. But again, I'm not a Final Fantasy fan. I think the only Final Fantasy game I've actually played, I think it was Final Fantasy 12 or 13, only because it was on Game Pass. And I thought, well, screw it, it's there, it's free, I'll give it a go. You play as Lightning, um, and all I remember about that game, I never completed the first game. I only played the first one. I didn't get around to playing the second one because it took me so long to get through even a small chunk of the first game that by the time I got round to properly investing into it, it got taken off Game Pass. So I must have left it too long. But all I remember from playing the game was that it looked beautiful, it looked gorgeous, and I was blown away of how beautiful this game looked, considering it came out on the Xbox 360. And how much the game was just a movie. Like there was gameplay, but it was more so tiny bit of gameplay, a good 5-10 minutes of movie quality cinematic, then a little bit more gameplay, then huge cinematic. And that's what it felt like. And I spoke to a few friends of mine who are Final Fantasy fans who've told me basically like that was the worst one to start with, because it's very divisive for fans. Some fans like it, some fans don't. But it's very sort of the wrong one to choose because it is mostly all just cinematics, and you want more gameplay. I didn't hate it, didn't dislike it. It was just a lot, and because there was so much to it, and I wanted the gameplay more. It took me a while to actually get around to properly being invested in it. And by the time I was somewhat invested in it, went off Game Pass, and I was like, I can't bother to buy it. So I put my hands in there, and I just was like, I'll walk away. Swept my hands of it, but that's it. That's my Final Fantasy sort of experience. But when Crisis Core comes out, I think it's Crisis Core anyway. Whatever the one that we're getting on Xbox, whenever it comes out on Xbox, if it lands on Game Pass, I'll give it a go. But I'm not a big Final Fantasy fan, and I'm not going to lie and say, I'm a huge fan, because I'm not. I don't know much to say about it, because I don't know anything about it. So yeah, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth comes out next year. That's about it. But that is everything. That is your lot from this year's Jeff Keighley's Summer's Game Fest. We won't see Jeff Keighley again until Gamescom, I think either next month or in August. That's in Germany. So expect more sort of gameplay release and things like that, and I'll cover that one when it comes. Um, but yeah, so that has been my coverage of the Summer Games Fest. Hope you liked it. Hope you enjoyed it. Don't forget to follow me on Twitter at nerdstalgic_pod, as well as if you listen to this on YouTube, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and all that jazz. And if you're not listening to this on YouTube, go subscribe to my YouTube channel. It helps me out immensely. And also, you can find the Nerdstalgic podcast on anywhere and everywhere that you can find podcasts. The only place you can't find me currently is Apple Podcasts. But apart from that, you can find me everywhere else. If you listen to this on Spotify, don't forget to give me a star rating, 1 to 5 stars. That will help me out immensely. I have been your host, Luke the Human. You've been listening to the Nerdstalgic podcast. Thank you very, very much for listening, and I'll catch you in the next one. Bye bye.